It's digital game time!
Finally, The Rock has come back to Comic-Con!
What's going on, everybody? Leo here along with
Francisco.
We're live at the Stan Lee LA Comic Con 2017. We're wrapping it up here, folks. It's the end of a long but productive day, and you're tuned in to DGT Live.
On Monday. This is pre-recorded. We're not actually live right now. We recorded this last Saturday. We're live streaming it to you on Monday without a Rick. We don't have a Rick.
That's right.
Rick is not here.
Let's move it along a little bit more. This side. We're a little bit off screen, but I think...
I thought we were leaving space for Rick. That's why I moved this way.
Yeah, it's hard to break a habit. It's hard to break a habit, that's for sure. We had a lot of fun here today.
We have new shirts. Digital game time. See? And press pass from Kamikaze from Stan Lee's Comic-Con.
Straight from Stan Lee himself. Francisco, this is definitely a different kind of con that we've been to. It's, I don't know. It feels like a medium. It's not as huge as some of the other cons we've been to in terms of population that comes to experience it. However, it is quality.
Family friendly. There's some things happening behind us. Ignore that. Pay attention to us. Eyes are over here. Our eyes are over here. No, but yeah, this is the first time that we come to a con where it's not as big, it's not as huge, but the caliber, the guests. Let's just say, Rick, you missed out, bro. You totally did. So we saw from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Chloe Bennett is her name. She plays Sky or Quake or Daisy, whatever her name is nowadays. We also saw, dude, we saw the Ghost Rider. It was incredible because you are used to seeing these people on TV, and you got to see them live in the flesh. And we actually had a privileged spot because, you know, we're press, so we were right up front. We were able to, like this far away from them, you know? Like, I could have just gone like, hey, high five, bro. I actually got to ask them a question, which was pretty cool.
Tell us about it.
Well, everybody was like, okay, they were done with their questions, you know, because they had like a moderator, interviewer, and he was done. So Chloe Bennett was like, oh, so that's it? We're done? It's like, how about ask them some questions or have them ask some questions? And the guy's like, well, yeah, but we don't have no mics. It's like, yeah, you help me out. Use your mic. And he's like, oh, all right, I'll do that. So she was like, anybody have a question? And everybody was just like, no. But it's like, she asked again, anybody has any questions? And like, by the third time she asked, I'm like, I got a question. So the guy comes to me, and I'm like, oh, crap, no, I don't have a question. Like, that was an impulse, like, I have a question. So, yeah, by the time he came to me, it's like, I asked, is any of your characters ever going to appear in any Marvel movies? She looks at me, dude, like this, like, bruh. Like, really, you're asking me that right now? I'm like, well, yeah. And she's like, even if I knew, I couldn't tell you. Because, you know, Marvel's very secretive about their events and whatnot. So she's like, anybody has a real question. But by that time, the guy that plays Ghost Rider looks at my shirt. It's like, hey, is that Nintendo? What's that about? I said, it's digital game time. Represent. No, he's like, oh, what's that? It's like, oh, it's our YouTube show. So I was like, oh, I'll check it out. So that was cool.
What's up, Ghost Rider? Thanks for that question.
Yeah, so that was awesome.
So technically, we could say you were interviewed.
I guess I was. No, look at that. No, that was pretty fun. We also got to see Robin, the original Robin from Batman 66, the original series from the 60s. That was amazing. We also saw the original Catwoman, because I don't know if many of you know, but there were like 2 or 3 Catwomen in that show. We saw the original one, the very first one that put on the suit, the cat suit, and that was awesome. We saw Kevin Smith. We saw his friend Ralph Garman. Who else did we see, Leo?
We saw the cast of He-Man.
Oh, that's right.
We saw the
Voice of
Skeletor, She-Ra, and also the lead animator for the series.
That was awesome. That was pretty good because they were telling us stories, you know, from back when they used to work in Filmation, making the cartoon, how they came out about it. What? Oh, we saw the cast of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which that was a total surprise. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of odd, to be honest with you. I was never a big Sabrina the Teenage Witch fan. However, it was kind of nice because a lot of those people that were there were actually have been in many, many other films.
Right. Yep, that's true. Because they say that they also had like guest stars from like Backstreet Boys to NSYNC to Britney Spears to Bryan Cranston, Mr. Heisenberg himself, and it was pretty interesting. And then later on, as the day progressed, we were actually waiting for Mr. Stanley. We weren't gonna say anything to you guys because we wanted it to be a surprise, but we had actually been in contact with Stanley's PR, and she had actually made it to the point where we were about to interview Stan Lee. And I said we were about to because she did say to us that it's going to depend on how he feels. I mean, he is elderly. He's in his 90s, late 90s at that. And we were like, well, if we get to interview him, that's going to be a plus. If not, then oh, well. But as the week progressed, I didn't hear back from her anymore. I mean, they had given us the guidelines. This is what you can do. This is what you cannot do. So we were ready. We were prepared. And they came, didn't get any response. I told you know what? Let's assume we're not going to interview him, so let's carry not that much equipment. And he actually missed his first panel. He missed his second panel. So we didn't feel as bad because if he didn't show up to his official panels, then it's because he didn't feel up to it.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was a little bit let down by his absence at his own panel. But once we found out he missed the first one, he missed the second one, then I figured, you know what? He's up there in age. Mm-hmm. We're actually very fortunate he's still doing this at this time. Anything that we get to see is a plus. Yep. And boy,
what happened, Leo?
Boy, what happened indeed. Well, before we get to what happened, I also want to give shout-outs to the members of the Black Eyed Peas. They had a really good panel where they presented a new...
Black Eyed Peas, out of all people.
Yeah, they presented a... What would you call it? Like an interactive comic of sorts where it mixes like their...
Augmented reality plus Pokemon skill sets here and there. It was like a combination of everything you've seen in virtual reality up to this point.
Yeah, but with their unique expertise thrown into the mix, you know, with their flavor of things. Speaking of Flav, he was there too. What's that actress's name?
Rosario Dawson. She's most known for the role of Claire in Daredevil, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones. Oh, Luke Cage as well.
And a legend in hip-hop, Eric B. was there too. That was a big surprise to me. As a hip-hop fan, I was not expecting Eric B. to be there. That was a highlight for me. And it was just... Yeah, who knew? I was not expecting this at this con. I knew the Black Eyed Peas were going to make an appearance, but I didn't realize...
Without Fergie.
I didn't realize it was going to be to this point that they were going to do that. And are we moving, Francisco?
No, you are moving.
You're moving. I'm moving. We're both moving. Yeah.
It's the excitement. I mean, we're at Comic-Con. LA's Comic-Con. It's about to grow. Mark my words. 3 to 4 years from now, dude, this is going to be the same as San Diego Comic-Con. You watch.
Francisco, I have to say the cosplay at this con has been really good. But, I mean, it's obviously the number of people, the numbers are not as big as for other cons that we've seen. The cosplay wasn't as much as we've seen in other places, but it was still very good. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I kept telling Leo, as soon as we got here this morning, let's compare it to Axe, because it's the same building. A few months back, July, when we came to Axe, everywhere, dude, cosplayers everywhere, on the streets, away, like 3-4 blocks away in the building. And today, nobody in the streets hardly. Not one or two maybe at that. We got into the building, it's like, oh, we'll probably see more. No, same amount. As the day progressed, there were obviously more, but very lacking, I would say.
Yeah, and we're going to show you a little bit here and there if you click through our videos in our channels of what the halls look like, full of, you know, fans and cosplayers alike. But the highlight, at least for me, was seeing Stanley presenting Dwayne The Rock Johnson and everybody, including yours truly, going bonkers.
I got chills. I just went like, what? Because they were about to present The Rock, and I don't know where Stanley walks in, and we're like, what?
Yeah, Stanley just struts up there with all the confidence in the world, and he's just with his own brand of humor, and you know what? He feels like that grandpa type of figure that, you don't really know him too well, but you just love him.
And I was gonna say, I mean, you can definitely tell that he's elderly. Like, you can tell that he has trouble walking, that he doesn't do as much anymore. But his smile, dude, cracking jokes, just like talking about The Rock and how he's like just one overpowered dude.
He's definitely one of those personalities that lights up the room. And I'm still talking about Stan Lee. He lights up the room and kind of makes you feel some fire in your heart, It's just definitely heartwarming.
It's got to be interesting if we can get to that age, Leo, because I don't know. Like, age affects us all differently. But that dude, Mr. Lee, he's still there, dude.
Yeah, that's right. And without exaggerating, I do now believe that he is the Rock. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is the most electrifying man in sports and entertainment. Yeah, there is definitely an electric feeling when he's about to step on that stage, and just that feeling of anxiety of just everything building up to the moment where he walks out, and boy, in person, he does not let you down.
Yeah, dude, I was thoroughly surprised because I was telling Leo earlier that I've never been like a really huge fan of The Rock. I mean, lately my daughter loves watching Moana, so Maui, the character of Maui, it's my favorite, and I'm used to hearing his voice now, right? With the Fast and the Furious franchise, I saw him there. It's like, oh, cool addition, but that was about it. Never really cared much for him. I was never a fan of wrestling, so couldn't say that I'm a fan since then. But seeing him today on stage, dude, I was just like, this is an awesome dude, because he is humble, he's nice. He actually came down from the stage to sign some dude's arm where he was going to tattoo his signature on. And not a lot of celebrities do that. They're like, dude, I can't sign right now, I'm on stage,
He came right up to where I was at.
Right, yeah.
I if I would have just stretched out my arm, I could have touched him. I mean, I had to fight my urges and be a professional about it, but I could have I felt I was unprofessional as I have ever been, because I was cheering, I was screaming, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I got a camera, I have to respect myself as well as him and behave a little bit, but it's definitely an electrifying thing to meet The Rock.
Another thing I have to point out, he does look huge on screen, on movies. He's really not. I mean, he's regular huge. I mean, he's a strong, buff dude, but nothing like what you see on screen where like they make him seem larger than life. And dude, he's a normal human being.
I think he was wearing like a European style, like very fit attire, and I think a lot of that time, what you wear makes you makes you look very slimming, and I think that's what it was, because he still looked jacked up.
He did. That's what I'm saying. I mean, but it's nothing like what you see on TV.
Well, yeah, on TV he definitely looks more girthy, I guess you could say. Just like there's more mass on him, and obviously there's the different camera lenses, camera angles, etc., etc. When you see him in person, it still doesn't disappoint. I think.
Yeah, but go ahead, check out all our content from the Comic-Con. It's awesome.
One last thing. You mentioned earlier about humility and being humble. One of my highlights and surprises of this show, something I was not expecting, not even looking forward to, but we got to see it and experience it. Drew Carey, man. One of the most coolest, most humble people you can meet in person. Like, this guy was legitimately the real deal, man. Like, every time his interviewer was trying to kind of lift him up and put him on a pedestal by saying all these compliments about him, his talent, his career. He just kind of like brushed that off a little bit and just like, nah, fam, I just surrounded myself by some really talented people that made me look good. They deserve a lot of the credit.
Yeah, no, and Leo actually mentioned something earlier about that. It's like, he's you, because a lot of his same mentality kind of comes through my head sometimes too, where like if people tell me I can do things, it makes me want to do them even more to show them off, you know? Like he mentioned having that big old chip on his shoulder whenever somebody told him, you can't do this. And it's like, oh, watch me. And that was very inspirational to hear, because it's like, yeah, I think exactly the same way. When people tell you that you can do something, it's like fuel for you to like show them and say like, look, I can, and anybody can. And the people that tell you that you can do something, in my opinion, are the people that feel sorry for themselves for not being able to do those things themselves. So they try to bring it on to other people to slowly crush you down. Don't let yourself be crushed down. Show them that you can do it. That's my advice, and apparently that's Drew Carey's advice as well.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of DGT Live. We're here live at the Stan Lee's
Comic-Con.
Los Angeles Comic-Con. I'm Leo. He's
Francisco.
And until next time, enjoy your games, love your families. This has been the most electrifying DGT ever.